Erev Tov, everyone. So we're going to start Sefer Vayikra this Shabbos. I want to give you one thought about maybe the main theme of Sefer Vayikra, which is the korbanot, the sacrifices we're sacrificing. Now, even though we read already in Sefer Bereshit and Sefer Shmot, we read several times on people that made sacrifices in various occasions. And also we had all the what we need to do when we're building the Mishkan, or like the future korbanot, the future sacrifice we need to sacrifice. None of these times, not even one time, the name korban, which is sacrifice, been mentioned. This is the first time in our Parshat that action of taking an animal and sacrifice it to Hashem being called korban. All the time it was zevach, olah, there's other names. And the question is why? Why only now it's the first time we call it korban? So in order to understand that, we need to understand maybe the Hebrew word. So korban, except of sacrifice, also from the root of karov, which is close, meaning the purpose, one of the purposes when you're doing korban is getting closer to Hashem. Now, if we'll get back, how do you know that, by the way? Because only two more times the shoresh kuf resh bet was in Sefer Bereshit and Shmot. One time about Paro, one time about Avraham. Both of them was ki hekriv lavo mitzvah. He become closer to something. Now, so again, why so far when we did that action we didn't call it korbanot? Because if you remember, last Shabbos, the last thing we read was the last verse of Sefer Shmot, Ki anan Hashem ala mishkan, the cloud of Hashem presence, went down Oel Moed, and it become there. Now that the Oel Moed is a holy place, now that the presence of Hashem coming there, now it's relevant to become closer to Hashem. Now we can call it korban, because we're doing something to become closer to Hashem. Another proof to that, so we see a lot of prophets during different prophets that really like to criticize Bnei Israel about the fact they're bringing sacrifices, but they're not really doing it with their heart. I'm going to give you only two examples of that from Ishayahu. Ishayahu says, Lama li rov zivchechem, Yomar Hashem, why do I need your sacrifices if you not really mean it? Yirmiyahu also saying that in the 7th chapter, the 7th chapter, he says, this is what Hashem says, I don't need your sacrifices because I need your good deeds. There's a lot of other examples from Hosea and Micha. All of these examples, even not one time, the prophet called that action korban. And again, why? Because when you're doing it outside of the mikdash, or when you're doing it when you're not really mean it, okay, you're bringing sacrifices, but you're doing avodah zarah, or you're not listening to Hashem, it's not worth a lot. That action of doing the sacrifice, it purpose to bring you closer to Hashem. Now, since these days we don't have korbanot, I think the most similar thing or closest thing we have to that, it's our davening. I think it comes also, like one of the opinions is that the davening are instead of the sacrifices. So, yes, I can come to davening and say the davening and like don't really mean it and don't do what Hashem wants from me and not really mean to the words I say. But then, maybe it's not a real korban, maybe it's not a real sacrifice, maybe it's not a real davening. So we might as well, if we're here, going to try to mean our words and mean our action and also take the inspiration we get in shul into our life and make our life better.